are still coming in. Thanks for making time in your busy end of the year schedules for this webinar with Kyle Hunt of Remodel Your Marketing. I am Joe Hughes, owner of Contractor Dynamics, contractordynamics.com. Kyle and I connected a few years ago. We were both kind of just maybe getting started a little bit, found each other on LinkedIn, saw that we were kind of talking about similar things and kind of had the same approach to things. So we just started chatting, and over the years, just really grew a nice organic relationship. And we collaborate on some clients once in a while. You know, when I'm talking with a client who I know can benefit from Kyle's services, I shoot him an email and vice versa. So it's been a really good relationship over the years. And when we're talking about marketing, which we're going to get into today with Kyle, really hands-on webinar, a lot of it's about relationships and looking at those relationships that you have in your business and how those can be a part of your business, how you can kind of add value to those relationships yourself and build your network and go from there. But Kyle's got a lot laid out for us. I don't want to take up too much time here. So I'll let you take it away, Kyle.
All right, excellent. And one more time before we get started, if you go to, I just posted it in the chat box, remodelyourmarketing.com/plan. If you're in your office and kind of near your printer, go ahead and just go to there, click the handout and print that out so you can kind of follow along. We tried to get it sent out with the RSVP, but technology wouldn't allow us to do that. So with that said, even if you can't print it out, you're hearing me and you're seeing my screen. So we'll be good to go. So I'm going to follow the handout just to a T and just share a little bit about myself. I'm seeing a lot of familiar names. I'm seeing some names that I haven't seen before. So just real briefly, I run a business called Remodel Your Marketing. I'm here in beautiful, snowy, we got like 10 inches-ish the last couple of days, snowy Michigan. I started my business 10 years ago. So Joe, yeah, we connected a few years ago, but I had been hacking away and working at this thing for many years prior to us connecting. And to summarize, I'm a business coach for remodelers, especially if you are somebody who does kitchens, baths, additions, that type of work. It's kind of my niche within a niche. And I do a lot of work around the sales process and training and improving our sales process, and also around the marketing side of things, which is what we're going to focus on today. So I have some blanks in this little handout. So if you did get a chance to print it out, get your pens ready, and we'll kind of fill it in as we go. Our plan for today is we're not just going to talk about your marketing plan for 2018. We'll create it. Now, are you going to have this thing locked and loaded by the end of this? That's probably a little bit of a overpromise, underdeliver, but you'll have the outline and you'll have entered in some things and have maybe just a list of things that data you can grab and things you can do to fill in the rest of it. And then I'll tell you about a little 5-week course at the end that will help you also implement. So what we're going to start with, I'll give you an overview, actually, 6 things. One is looking at your marketing results from 2017, the year that we're just wrapping up. Number 2, we're going to talk about marketing strategy. It's important that we talk about strategy before tactics. So we're going to talk about the strategy. Number 3, we're going to talk about marketing tactics, right? We can have a website. We can do Pardon Our Dust postcards. We can do a home show. Each one of those things are tactics. We're going to talk about that. We're going to start to even draft based on the review of our strategy and tactics. We're going to start to outline and draft what our actual marketing plan for 2018 is going to be. I'm going to urge you to grab 1 or 2 SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound, some SMART goals related to your marketing. And then number 6, I will tell you about this little course that's going to be a 5-week course that starts on January 11th to really hammer home what we're talking about today. All right, so first, facts and figures, marketing, our 2017 marketing results. So what I have here on the first line, it says tracking our results and measuring what worked and what didn't work. I understand we all have a lot of hats. There's a lot of responsibilities on your shoulders as you're running the business. Something that I see that sometimes it gets the attention it deserves, but oftentimes it does not get the attention it deserves, is tracking our marketing results. Tracking our marketing results. You actually being able to tell me, here's how many leads I generated this year or so far this year. Here's where those leads came from, right? So maybe you have 50 leads and the sources where these actual leads came from. Even just that, what gets measured gets improved, right? When we have that information at our fingertips, instead of when the sales rep comes to us and says, hey, would you like to renew this advertising? Or, hey, would you like to sign up for this again this year? Instead of relying on our gut and our intuition, did we generate anything from that? How did that go results-wise? We can actually use data and know exactly how many leads we generated, where they came from, and have some facts to go off of, which helps us make better decisions, wiser choices for the limited and precious advertising dollars that we have. So that's kind of where I'm starting off here. Yes, sir.
Sorry, can I interrupt? I'm not sure if you're intending to show slides or just the plan.
Just the plan.
Okay, we had just had a question from someone. I just want to clarify. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I see that. So Sue said, still seeing shows the plan, not the slides. Yep, this is what we're going to go through, kind of step by step here. Sue is just focused right through the plan, piece by piece. No sense in overcomplicating it with slides, right? So yep, you're good. And as I scroll down, you'll see it. All right. So that's the first thing. If your answer to how many leads did you generate this year, where did they come from? If you're not sure, if you've kind of tracked that but not really, write that down. Make a giant mental note that you need to fix that, right? If we're spending any dollars towards our marketing and advertising, we need to hold those dollars accountable. We need to know if they worked or not, if they produced, what kind of ROI did we do, so that we can know what to maybe put more money towards or redistribute money or not waste money in the future, right? We've got to hold those dollars accountable. And sometimes that just gets slipped under the radar and doesn't get the time it deserves. So that's one of my first big things I want to share with you, and something as you craft your 2018 plan is really where you want to start. How do we do this past year? I urge you to look at how many of those leads did you actually turn into signed projects, right? If you can track that, not only can you see I generated 10 leads from House, but 4 of those leads actually closed, right? And then those four jobs, how much revenue do they actually produce, right? So if you don't have any mechanism for tracking that right now, if you want to write down sales tracking spreadsheet, or even if you go to remodelyourmarketing.com, on the right-hand side, there's going to be a little form. Most of you are already on my email list. If you fill that out, you'll get a copy of a sales tracking spreadsheet. That's a tool that you can start utilizing right away, kind of getting ready to go for 2018. If you're not able to answer that right now, or you don't have that in place, okay? Some other things we want to track. What was your total sales for 2017? And when we take our total sales and we divide it by our number of projects, we have an average project size. That's good to know as well, right? What is your average project size? What that's going to allow us to do is measure our results in even more detail. That's going to allow us to make wise choices. All right. And then this last one, it is surprising how often remodelers are unable to really pin this number down, or they're not really sure. I don't really know about this much, right? The question is, what in 2017, what was your total marketing / advertising spend? How much did you invest in marketing and advertising in 2017? A lot of times when you pull up your profit and loss statement, you'll be able to see it in there, but a lot of profit and loss statements I see, there's maybe an advertising line, there's maybe a marketing line. Some of the associations or organizations we belong to may be in more of a dues and subscriptions section, right? So it's important that we get a grasp as you're planning your 2018 marketing plan, get a grasp on what and how much you spent in 2017. I'll pause right here, and I'd be curious if people want to kind of jot in the chat box. Yes or no? Do you know how much you spent, or would it be, here's the question. Would it be very easy for you within a matter of a couple minutes to be able to identify and pull up what your total advertising and marketing spend was? I just called an audible because I need to take a drink so that I don't cough like I was. I mean, an excuse for you guys to engage and type in the chat box.
There we go. I'll give you a breather too, Kyle, there. I have a question. When you're working with clients on this, do you typically encourage them to account for their time invested into marketing as well? As you know, an owner operator or owner of a closely held business, we're spending a lot of time marketing our businesses. That's valuable time. So should that be accounted for as well into marketing spend?
Often I hear what you're saying, but it's a lot of, is it usually no? The answer is no, not usually tracking that. It's something to be aware of, especially if a bigger portion of your marketing plan is focused on networking, developing strategic partners, participating in associations and organizations to generate referrals. If that's the case, if that's a huge part of your marketing plan, then what you just said would be a more important thing to track. But like every tracking, every measuring that you're doing, you've got to kind of weigh, is it worth it for me to update the way that I'm tracking my time, or update my QuickBooks in a way that every time my company pays me as the owner a salary, a percentage of that goes towards this, a percentage of that goes towards that. A lot of times the logistics of that kind of, outweigh the benefit of doing it, if you kind of know what I mean.
Yeah, good answer. And that's what I was getting at, is like the in-person networking and relationship building and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely you don't want to add a process to your workflow. It's going to hold you back.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm seeing a lot of yes, easy to find. Yes, by financials. I got a no in there. Oh, good point. Time. Approximately 7% of sales. Good. So the last thing when we're tracking what we did in 2017 is to identify, and hopefully the way that you're tracking your leads, you're able to pull this up fairly easy. What were your top lead generation sources this year? A lot of times if you rely on your head and your gut, you kind of think, oh no, most of it's from this or most of it's from that. When you actually look at the numbers, a lot of times when the owner that I'm working with actually looks at the hard numbers, wow, I didn't realize that we're generating that much from that. You know what? I didn't realize that that strategic partner sent us 4 jobs this year. Now that I think about it, right? So listing out your top lead generation sources, I have just kind of to get started the top 6. And what I'd urge you to do is kind of put the source name, where, the actual lead generation source, website, strategic partner, et cetera. And then just the number of leads, just the raw number of leads that you generated in 2017. So once we've done that, we've done a good dive, we've done a good review, you're armed with a little bit of data. It may have taken you a little bit of time to dig through that, to get it all in place. I want us to look at, okay, based on that, based on what we sold and what our total sales were in 2017, based on what we spent on marketing and advertising, let's look and kind of just put a number down for what our 2018 sales goal is. And also what we're anticipating spending for our 2018 marketing budget. And there's not a lot of, there's a little strategy in here, right? If you look, you can kind of get a feel for what you have on the books as you're heading into 2018. That's a little bit of an indicator. You think about your year in 2017. You think through, was it a slow start? Was it consistent throughout? Am I going to be able to repeat what I did in 2017 pretty easy? You might think and say, you know what? I just hired an estimator in my office. So whether I like it or not, I need to increase sales just to be able to pay and fund that, that side of things. Maybe you just have, Joe's been very active on social media. He's in growth mode in his business right now, right? Focused on sales, business development. Maybe you see this opportunity in this market right now where it's time to grow. It is time to harvest. If there's ever a time in this industry, right now, maybe you say, I'm going to increase 50% next year. Whatever your goal is, putting that number, that top line revenue number down, is important when we start to look at our marketing plan. All right. And then based on that, you look at what you did last year, you think through this year, and you put a kind of an estimate down for your 2018 marketing budget. And as we work through this process, we'll kind of refine that. And then I have on this last part, who's involved in your marketing efforts, your marketing team. A lot of my clients have maybe an outside source that maybe does some marketing for. So if you work with Contractor Dynamics as an example, they're part of your marketing team. If I was one of your resources or coach, you put that down. Maybe have somebody in the office that helps implement some of the marketing. So just getting your team listed out and getting everybody there. All right. So what have we covered so far? We've covered just the 2017 results and starting to also piece together what 2018 is going to look like. All right. Now I'm going to pause there and just put this, it's almost like I don't know if it's not necessarily a commercial, but just like as an aside, doing more with the leads you already have. 98% of what we're talking about here is going to be focused on the marketing plan. But one of the things I want to highlight is that if your sales process is clunky, is not very systematic, is lending itself to not qualifying leads, if leads are slipping through the cracks, you're not doing a good job of following up on your leads, if you have a long turnaround time between that initial in-person meeting and the design or the estimate, I want to just emphasize that maybe it'd be wise to really get that fixed and get that improved before you really crank up the marketing and have more leads coming into your business. Okay, so I want to highlight that just as kind of an aside, that if you, when you rank on a scale of 1 to 10, your sales process and your follow-up, 1 being bad, 10 being fantastic, if it's down there in the 1, 2, 3, 4, you're not systematic about it, things are slipping through the cracks, you're not organized, you're not qualifying your leads, that focus is probably going to float its way up to the first quarter of 2018 on how do I fix that. If that's you, there's a course I did this past fall called Remodel Your Sales Process that is just focused on training and best practices for that. So if you jot that down, if you want to reach out to me on that, if that's a pain point for you, that'd be a good course to go through. All right. Secondly, after 2017 results, strategy, marketing strategy. We want to focus on strategy before tactics. I'm not going to dig into it too deep here, but what this really looks like are 2 main areas. One being what makes you different, and the second being who is your ideal client / project. The answers to these 2 questions changes perhaps the focus of our marketing plan and what we're actually going to do to generate leads. I'll tell you about that when we get down to the tactics. But what we're identifying with the what makes you different is what makes you different from your competition. If I was talking to one of your clients and I said, hey, tell me about that kitchen remodeling project you did with Sam in Sam's Remodeling. I made that up, by the way. And that customer kind of comes back and says, well, the job went well. We're pleased with the outcome. We're pleased with the results. But what really blew us away was fill in the blank, right? That was a good pop of the, did you hear that? That was pretty good. I've been practicing that. So if this was a lot, people would be laughing right now. This is why I don't like webinars as much as in person, right? Because if you actually unmuted, people would just be laughing their head off, Joe.
Well, then they would take over the whole webinar and
right. It'd be like 90% laughs.
Maybe laughing at you the whole time. Yeah, we don't
right.
want that.
Like, good point. Good point. But what really blew me away was how clean the job site was. That was important to us. It was something that, in past times when we remodeled, it's been a mess. We have young kids, they contain the dust. But what really blew us away is they said that this project was going to happen in 4 weeks, and it actually got done in under 4 weeks, which was amazing. But what really blew us away is that the price that they quoted us actually was the price we paid. There weren't all of these extras and but what really blew us away is their communication. It was impeccable. If we called them, most of the time they answered. If we sent them a text or an email, it was responded to quickly. The communication throughout the whole process was just excellent, right? Or it could be the quality, whatever it is. Asking your clients, thinking about this for your business, what your strengths are, what makes you different. This is huge for crafting your marketing message. If you are going to advertise, what makes you different? Right? What do you have that is different from your competition is going to help you stand out, whether it's in a Facebook ad, whether it's on your website, whether it's at the home show with the booth banner, whether it's in the Pardon Our Dust campaign that you send out to homeowners, wherever it might be, right? We really need to identify what makes us different. And then secondly, your ideal client / project. If we are all things to all people, it's much tougher to cut through the clutter, right? We are inundated with marketing, with this, with that. If we're kitchen specialists, right? Or if we focus on additions or, whatever it is that maybe is 70% of your work. Sure, I do kitchens and I primarily do kitchens, but I also do this, right? Of really getting a better, stronger message out about what truly is your ideal project that you do. And similarly, thinking about who your ideal client is, right? if my ideal client is higher ends, if my ideal client, is baby boomer age, really looking at the demographics and then really looking also at the psychographics. What do they value? What are they looking for? Okay. So that's the strategy part, is really taking some time to think through who your ideal client is, who your ideal project is, and also taking the time to create kind of this is our difference, a document, our 5-point promise, our 4-way guarantee, right? Our 5-point pledge, actually putting a name and saying, these are the 5 things that really make us different, that can help us as we execute on the tactics. All right. So I'll pause there. I think, Joe, you have a question here, and feel free to chime in on questions as we go.
Yeah, the chat's open for everyone. If you have any questions, we'll try to address them either during the webinar or at the end in the Q&A. Love this, Kyle. Marketing is my world. So I definitely resonate with this. And I think what you're getting at is really making a connection. You're talking about what makes you different, who's your ideal client, how can you make a better connection with your market, what do your ideal clients care about? Maybe what you think makes you different is not something that your clients actually care about. Maybe they care about something different. So, ask them, when you start a project, hey, Mr. Jones, why did you choose us, by the way? What made you choose us over the 3 other guys? Getting that intel from your market is really key, so you can go back and you can use that same language that they're using in your marketing and make a better.
Exactly. That is so underutilized. I have shared that advice time and time again. There's that honeymoon phase between the time they sign with you, the time they decide and pick you and give you a deposit and sign a contract, after maybe they've talked to 1 or 2 other people, right? That they've actually signed it. And there's this honeymoon phase between that time and the time the project starts. And what you just said of getting that intel, getting that, why did you choose us? If you could just kind of help me as I continue to refine who we are and what message we put out there, and frankly, our sales process as well. What made you decide to go with us? Oh, there's a gold and a wealth of information that you can get there if you're interested and willing. I don't even think it's courageous. It's smart. It's smart business. It's smart marketing. So maybe that's a takeaway that you guys can write down from that. Yeah, good. There's a lot, and even after you're done, right? If there was one word that best describes us, what would it be? What did you enjoy about working with us? Getting some of that information after the project, after they've actually gone through the process. Sure, you're going to hear some things to improve, but you're also going to hear some things that really resonated with them and that they really valued. A lot of times when you do that survey of, what did we do that you really valued? A lot of times we're thinking it's all about the quality, it's all about this, but some things come out of that you go, really? That's why you chose us, or really, that's what really resonated with you. Sometimes it's the little things. And if it resonated with them, chances are it would also resonate with other ideal clients of yours. All right, good. So let me pause here before we get into 3, which is the tactics. And what I want you guys to do is, I'm all about takeaways, right? You've been listening to me now for about 20 minutes, right? And we talked about how we're tracking our leads, how we're looking at that. We talked about the importance of lead generation sources. We talked about some of the strategy side. You've heard some different things intermingled in there. Give me a takeaway that you've had so far. Something that kind of resonated with you, or that even if I asked you maybe a week from now, you'd say, there is one thing that you said that I'm like, man, I'm not doing that, or I need to do a better job of that, or, I need to look into how to get that. Looking for a couple takeaways. Good to ask clients why they chose you. Bingo. Know your numbers. Know your numbers, right? Absolutely. Otherwise, we're just kind of guessing. When we're actually tracking and measuring things, they inherently are going to be improved, and we're going to make better business decisions. Using what comments people have about us in future sales meetings. Absolutely. Page 2, narrowing the gaps in our sales process. So I had that little aside about the sales process and the importance of cleaning that up. Frankly, I don't know if there's any bigger bang for the buck that I could offer a remodeler than taking somebody who has a very clunky, non-systematic sales process and really improving it and trying to convert more of the leads we're generating into actual paying clients. Good. I'm seeing takeaways. I'm happy. I think I'm going to use the survey this year's clients to get more info. Awesome, Sue. The follow-up in the sales process, Monica, thank you. All right, cool. All right, keep those questions coming. Section 3 is related to tactics. So we talked about marketing strategy. Now we're going to talk about the tactics. All right, and I created this this little sheet in Canva, C-A-N-V-A. I was looking at the Word document I created, and I went, that looks pretty lame. That's not interesting. That's not nice looking. So I spent some time yesterday, and I got into Canva, and I created this. If you're looking to create just simple things for social media, or even a non-designer can create good looking pieces. And I hope you appreciate that circle and that square and the circle and the box around that, because that took me 20 minutes. 20 minutes of like copy paste space here. How do I get that in there? How do I move this? But it's beautiful, isn't it? All right. So this part, what I want you to do, and I might, if you have it printed out, I think a lot of you probably don't, but when you do get your hands on this, what I want you to do here is put a circle around what is currently part of your marketing plan, and then put a square around what you want to be part of your marketing plan in 2018. And actually, yeah, I'm going to tell you to kind of hold off on it, even if you have it printed. What I'm going to do is just spend 5-10 minutes, probably more like 10, just going one by one through this and just sharing a few of my thoughts, a few of my experiences on where maybe I see a lot of times this needs to be more of a priority. This needs to be less of a priority. This is a few kind of simple ways to get started with this. All right, so buckle up. I'm going to kind of go fast. First one is stay in touch with previous clients and prospects. If you do nothing else, marketing wise, right? The majority of you, when we look at that lead sources, what generates more of our leads? The great majority of you, if not all of you, the majority of the dollars that you put in your business bank account, sales dollars in your business bank account, is coming from repeat work from previous clients or referrals from previous clients. For pretty much everybody on this call, that's going to be the case, especially if you're into more kitchens, baths, additions, that type of remodeling work. What I see so often is that we do very, very little as far as staying in touch with our previous clients and our previous prospects that maybe didn't sign with us. I kind of have that listed number one to emphasize that a little bit. Step one, if you don't have your list of previous clients or prospects organized, that would be a takeaway. That would be a step one. I just need to get this organized. A lot of you may have it in QuickBooks. You may have it in a spreadsheet here. You may have it here, there, everywhere. To get that organized, now that you have a list, okay, what's my game plan? What's my plan to actually stay in touch with my previous clients this year? Some of that's going to be maybe through a regular email. Some of that's going to be with maybe a print piece a couple times a year. Some of that may be as simple and as practical, which I love those two words, as printing out your client list of maybe 200 or 250 or whatever the case might be, and calling 4 previous clients every single week. That phone call could simply be, hey, it's been a while since we've chatted with you. I wanted to call and see how the job we did for you is holding up, and also just see how you and the family are doing. Simple as that, right? So just being proactive with staying in touch with our previous clients. They are most likely in 2018 going to be the driver of the majority of the revenue that you have in your business. And guess what? I don't care how fast technology changes. I don't care what comes next. That's probably going to be the case when we're talking in 2035 in our industry, is that our previous clients and referrals from those previous clients is going to be one of, if not the top one. So that's a biggie right there. Testimonials / reviews / case studies. Proof. How many Google reviews do you have? You should know the answer to that, right? If there's anywhere that you want to get testimonials or reviews, and Joe, you can combat this if you disagree, but I think you'll agree, Google's the top place. And so often we have 1, maybe we have 3, maybe we get 1 negative review from that stupid prospect that wasn't even a client of ours that's whining about something. And literally, people, when they look up our business, we have like a 2-star because that's the only one out there, right? So putting a focus in 2018 on getting more testimonials, maybe some video testimonials, definitely building up your Google reviews. Most of you, probably your house reviews, right? And also maybe taking a look at creating some case studies. That can be in written form, that could be in video form. One of my clients here in Michigan just created they hired a company to come in, a beautiful project focus, a case study on this project that they did where they interview the homeowners, they show the project, they talk about the process, and it was phenomenal, right? So in this day and age, reviews and testimonials are important. We need that to be part of our marketing plan. Strategic partner development. A strategic partner is anyone who shares the same ideal client as you do. Strategic partner is anybody who shares the same ideal client as you do. This is often an underutilized part of our marketing arsenal. If I'm a remodeler, that could be an architect, could be a designer, could be a landscaper. It could be 2 of the 50 realtors in your area, the top 2 producers, right? But it also could be, if I cater towards a high-end client, it could also be the guy that owns the BMW dealership. If I cater towards, a lot of my clients are business owners, it could be my CPA, it could be my financial advisor. It doesn't just have to be within that realm of the contracting world. Anybody who shares the same ideal client as you do. And it could just be as simple as saying, I'm going to do 3 BLBs. If somebody wants to know what BLB stands for, they got to type it in the chat box, and I'll tell you during the Q&A section. A month with strategic partners. It could be as simple as starting there. Networking, B&I associations. There's a lot of opportunities there that is often underutilized. Having a referral program where if somebody refers you and that person turns into an actual client, having an offer or a reward, if you will, is a good best practice that's been found to work. It could be, we're going to donate $100 to the local charity of your choice, and or we will give you a $50 dinner gift certificate, something like that. That's been proven to be effective. That could be part of your marketing plan to spur on and to encourage more referrals. A free report or free offer. If you're doing number 1, where you're staying in touch with previous clients and prospects, chances are you have a regular communication that you're sending out via email. And on your website, if you have some type of opt-in, if you have some type of free report, if you go to remodelyourmarketing.com, I mentioned it earlier, where you can get that sales tracking spreadsheet. When you fill that out, you're opting in, you're on my email list, right? And it's a way that I can build some know, like, and trust with prospects. So that could be part of your marketing plan for 2018. Home shows, parade of homes, events. There's a lot of opportunities there. Maybe when I say the word home show, you cringe. Maybe when I say parade of homes, you kind of say, what's that about, right? One of my clients just did a remodeled parade of homes for the first time out in Nebraska. And it was a long weekend where he was there, and it's a tour where people are walking through, and the amount of quality, solid leads that he generated from that, the amount of know, like, and trust he built by being able to show off the end result of this project, being able to meet these people has been fantastic for him. So that may be part of your 2018 marketing plan. Again, I'm cruising through here to give you some tips and ideas as we go, but what I want you to do after the fact, circle what you're currently doing, square around what you want to do this upcoming year. Job site signs. I see it often when I say, how's your job site signs? What do you mean? Well, I'm not always getting them up. Okay. Or, we got these flimsy ones. I'm just not very proud of them. We need to create better ones. So simple, right? Such an easy part of our marketing planner should be, right? People see the activity. Anytime if something's going on in your neighborhood, a project's going on in your neighborhood, you just see the traffic. We're remodeling our basement right now. Our neighbors noted. I was actually just over to our neighbors yesterday as we were shoveling, and like, oh, what do you have going on in your house, right? People notice. So having a job site sign, you've got your job site, you got your trucks, you got your lettering, and also perhaps implementing and doing a Pardon Our Dust campaign where you get a process in place so that on the majority of your projects in 2018, you're going to send a nice little Pardon Our Dust postcard or letter around those immediate neighborhoods. There's a lot of ways to streamline and to automate a lot of that. That could be part of your deal. Homeowner seminars, where you might invite people in for your 5 tips when remodeling. If you have a showroom especially, that could be an option. Advertising. Print advertising, not as attractive as it used to be, but there's some opportunities there that still might be a good ROI. Radio, TV, sponsorships. One of my clients is killing it with TV ads. Very local TV ads, not cable TV ads, but the local news, 6 o'clock news. He's paying a premium to be on there. He's been doing it consistently for the last 18 months, and it just keeps generating for him. Not all of that is dead, right? We have to evaluate that as we look at our marketing plan. Direct mail. One of my clients is just queuing up a postcard that's going to go out to 3,000 people. He's using the Every Door direct mail program through the United States Postal Service, but he's chosen 4 or 5 very specific neighborhoods that he knows his ideal clients are at. He's done work there, the age of the homes, etc. And he's going to, every single month for this upcoming year, there's going to be a postcard that goes out to them. Boom, 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 boom. And he's going to test it. He's going to measure it. He created his marketing budget. We did. And he's decided, you know what, I'm going to spend X amount of money every month on this direct mail, very targeted direct mail. We're going to create it with the postcards, and we'll see how the results go. Email marketing, CRM system, kind of ties into what we talked about earlier. Going after some press releases, some different awards, right? What is it worth to have a Big 50 award? One of the top 50 remodelers in the country. Do you know that that's an easy thing for you to apply for, and pretty good chance that if you got your stuff together that you can go after? What about that local home builder association that puts on different awards? What about a press release because you did that big donation for that local cause that you support? You supported them because you support them, and that was the main reason, but getting a little bit of an article or some press related to that, that's good marketing, right? So that might be part of your marketing plan. Telemarketing / phone calls. Perhaps if you're more on the home improvement, the window siding, roofing side, that may be part of your mix. Thank you cards. Very simple. You get back from the initial in-person appointment and you send out a handwritten thank you card. That's good marketing. All right, that's a little bit more related to the sales process, but I wanted to sneak that in there. I'm going to pause there for a second. Joe, you got anything that you wanted to chime in on and/or questions that are popping in?
Sure. I'm sure you need a sip of water after that. Really, really, really good list. I guess my 2 cents to add something, maybe just pick a couple things, handful of things, but make sure that you're consistent with them.
Mm-hmm.
I know you posted in your Facebook group yesterday about when's the last time you emailed your list, and people are like, like 7 months ago, 18 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I think being consistent with this stuff and not trying to bite off more than you can chew, being realistic about the resources that you have in your office, on your team. And the big win there is that most companies aren't being consistent. So that can be a big win, just getting out there and just showing up and being and getting out there every week or every month.
I'll skip down to page 5 to kind of hit on what you're saying, where when you set some SMART goals, when you start to say, okay, I'm going to do this year, I'm going to be consistent with sending out an email to my clients and prospects, or I am going to do a direct mail campaign like that client I was just referring to, or whatever the case might be, we've got to be careful not to bite off more than we can chew. The amount of time, the percentage of time that you have that you're actually spending on marketing and advertising is pretty small compared to all of your working hours. Maybe due to your marketing budget, you're going to hire somebody maybe part-time in your office to help execute. That's a way to leverage and allow you to get more done. But on this page, and I just skipped down just to hammer home what Joe was saying, is we got goal number 1 plus a clear next step, right? Here's my specific, measurable, attainable goal. Number 2, number 3. And the next thing, number 4, I wrote careful people. You get down and all of a sudden you get excited and you've got this SMART goal, and I got that SMART goal, and I got that SMART goal. That's a recipe for not getting it 100% done. You might have 4 or 5 or 8 things 50% done, but half finished tasks are not worth as much as one task 100% finished, right? So Joe, you make up a good point. At the same time, it's good as you're crafting your marketing plan to really see all of the different things that are available to you. And this is where, when we understand who our ideal client is, when we're tracking where our leads have come from, for a lot of my clients, this strategic partner side of things and developing more referral sources there, when they're catering towards a very high-end client, those people know architects, those people work with designers, those people work with, fill in the blank. And to develop relationships with those people, that might float up the list as far as priorities go for their marketing. Good. So finishing off on this right-hand side, not that it's getting easier over here, there's not a lot of work to do, but website, right? Every single one of us, that is the central hub of our marketing efforts. We've got to make sure that our website is showing off our work and who we are well, that is differentiating us from people, that it's a strong way that we can convert and generate business. We need to make sure it's responsive. We need to make sure all this. I'm exhausted just thinking about it. Luckily, Joe spends all of his days doing that, right? Along with that, what is our plan for SEO? What is our plan? Do we need to look at more paid ads with Google? What about just our local Google listing and the like? That's definitely, either most of you have a circle on that, but then as you also look at that, there's probably definitely some action steps and some things to implement related to that in 2018. Video marketing, content creation. If you had an ideal client standing next to you, if you need to close your eyes to visualize this, feel free. But if you had your ideal client standing next to you and you're walking onto your job site, what are you going to point out to those people? I bet you've got all kinds of things to say. You're going to talk about your job site cleanliness. You're going to talk about how you have your tools organized every night like this. You're going to show them the plastic and the way that you tape off the different areas. You're going to show them your floor protection. You're going to show them your build clean system, right? You're going to show them how in this project, you actually opened up this wall. The clients didn't really see this, but you saw this, how you could open this up and they absolutely love it. You're going to show them this really unique tile that you installed on the backsplash. You're going to show them this product. That's what you're going to do because you're a salesperson. You're excited about it. Now, if you would just kind of get rid of the person standing next to you and instead just pull out your iPhone and say the exact same things that you would say to them, oh, there's a ton of awesome content that can help you build know, like, and trust, that can differentiate you, that can show all of the little things that you do that's different. Whew, right? That is an often underutilized aspect. We get scared when we pull out the camera and we think we get intimidated by it. But that may be a key part of your marketing in 2018 to create interesting, good, valuable, educational content that then you can share on your website, you can share on social media, you can share in your follow-up to sales appointments, you can share with your previous clients when you send out a note to them. Okay. Social media, that's not something that we can ignore. Need to figure it out that. Swag / giveaways, good way to get our name out, and it's usually part of our marketing advertising budget. Online lead generation, maybe for some of you, this is a part of it. Your vehicles, your office, your showroom, just looking at all the different elements that make up your image and making sure that they're supporting the message and the look and the feel that you're putting out there. And also looking at investing in a marketing assistant, right? One of my clients just hired what I'm calling a little things coordinator. This is the person that's going to execute on the thank you cards. This is the person that's going to execute on the gift that we send out at the end of a project, or when the dust is flying during drywall stage. This is the person that's going to just make sure our communication is top notch, maybe manage our social media, maybe responsible for making sure these videos are being created, right? So that might be part of your mix. Is you can't do it all, so maybe you have somebody in your office, or hiring a coach, somebody like me who can help you navigate this, who can give you some resources, some examples, some templates to help you make sure that this is a year where you can implement. All right. Whew, there's a big section there, but I wanted to hit you guys with all of that. All of you are probably kind of going, whoo, right? Take a minute if you could type in the chat box. One thing on here that you're gonna do better this upcoming year, definitely something that's gonna find its way onto your marketing plan. All right. So we covered what happened in 2017. We talked about strategy. We talked about tactics. This page here, if you're using it, you can start to kind of take what you circled and what you squared on the page before. And on these lines, next to these bullets, I'm going to improve our website this year. I'm going to start doing Pardon Our Dust campaigns on most of our projects. I'm going to work on staying in touch with my previous clients this year. This is kind of the creating of the marketing plan. Look at those tactics that you circled, that you squared, and start to list it out. And then what you're going to also do is you're going to look at this and kind of like what Joe said, you're going to kind of start to look at it and say, is this realistic? Is this attainable? Am I biting off more than I can chew? Do I need to whittle this list down? Maybe you just put everything on here that you want to be doing. And then because you're smart, you're going to say, you know what? I'm just going to pick 4 of these. I'm really just going to pick 3 of these, whatever the case might be, because you want to make sure you implement and do. Okay. Better, more consistent on social media, getting testimonials and reviews. Seeing some of the takeaways you guys are putting in there. All right. And then this last page is getting even kind of refining this list even more. So looking at this list, this is my marketing plan to generate X number of leads in 2018 with a budget of fill in the blank. The way that we can fill in those 2 numbers is using some of that data at the top. You look at how many leads you generated. You look at how many of those actually sold, so you know your closing percentage. You look at your average job size. You look at what your total sales goal for 2018 is. You start to mix those and calculate those and push those together, and you're going to have a lead goal, and you're going to have you know, a budget that you're going to be putting next to it and putting together for it, right? So often we just don't take the time. This isn't rocket science, right? A lot of the things that you're seeing here, pretty straightforward. I tried to make it as simple and as refined as I could make it. If there's 100 remodelers, I would say that there's maybe 5 or 6 that have taken the time to really evaluate their marketing efforts and really evaluate and create a marketing plan and create a marketing budget. And that's what I'm really urging you guys to do. And then down here, you know, you kind of start to prioritize. The fill in the blank here, it says time to prioritize. Yeah, you want to do those 10 things, but what's your top 3? What's your top 3? And make them smart. If it's to remodel your website, don't say your goal is to get a new website designed, right? That's not smart. That's not specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound. If you change that around to say, I'm going to get my website redesigned and completed by March 30th, 2018, now we've got something that is specific, that we can measure if we did it or not. Is it attainable and realistic? I would say, right? 3+ months to go from idea to execution, and it's time bound. We have a deadline for it. And then what I always like to push is, okay, what's the next step? In order to achieve that goal, what's just the very next step that you need to focus on in order to do it? Okay. All right. So I'd be curious to just get a little bit of feedback, the format of this, kind of the step-by-step nature of it. You know, just share a few words, if you will, in the chat box on kind of, does this make sense to you? We look at our results and we do a little analysis of that. We look at our strategy, which is going to color what our tactics are going to be. We really dig into the tactics. We look at everything that's at our disposal, everything that's in our tactical you know, toolbox that we could do, and we think about our business. We think about what we've tried in the past. We listen to somebody like me who's talking about each one of them. You say, man, that is a good idea, or you know, that's probably not a focus for me. And we look through that and we start to create a list of what our marketing plan is going to consist of, and then to focus on implementing, we get real specific on 3 is what I lean towards here to start with. Guess what? If you get these 3 done by April, you're going to go back to your marketing plan and you're going to pick the next 3. You can execute on those, making it a little bit more bite-sized that you can implement. Does this make sense? Give me some feedback on this. Catherine said, great. Would like to be able to print it out and fill it in. Joe just said this is printable. Yep. So if you go to, you'll get it in the recording and the feedback or in the email as well. But if you even go to remodelyourmarketing.com/plan, you'll be able to download this. Okay. Anybody else have more feedback? Nancy says makes perfect sense. Can't wait to start. Good. Okay, cool. How do you get Google reviews? When I put in the Google search, other companies come up and no reviews. Sue said all good. We'll come back to Catherine's question there here in a second. So we're going to wrap up by the end of the hour. So we got 10 minutes left. So I have poured into the last 50 minutes, hopefully value to you guys. And I'm going to just take a couple minutes to tell you about this class. Oh, this is the part of the webinar where he tries to sell us something. Yes, you are correct. But it's also a way for you to take, if you like these ideas and you actually want to really execute them, this is a pretty low cost little training program that I'm going to be starting up on January 11th. So it's called Remodel Your Marketing Plan. It's going to just be 5 weeks. It's going to be live training class. So similar to this, except you guys will be able to hear each other. I did this in the fall. I had about 20-25 people signed up for something related to the sales process, and we got a lot of kind of feedback and Q&A throughout the whole thing. And this is kind of the deliverables at the end of this 5 weeks. But let me actually preface it real quick. You can print this thing out. You can start to fill it in, and that's the biggest thing I wanted to leave you guys with today. Whether you sign up for this or not, you grab this handout, you start to fill this out. I'm confident that you're going to be much more organized, much more focused, much more result and SMART goal driven, with it. Now, if you want to kind of ensure that that happens, or you want to kind of be able to dig into it a little bit deeper and get a little bit of coaching, a little bit of feedback, a little bit more ideas related to it, this could be good. So at the end of it, there's 2 deliverables. One is going to be a 2018 marketing plan. You will have your marketing plan created. I will be pushing you to do it. I will be holding you accountable to do it. And then number 2, you're going to have a clear and a specific 2018 marketing budget. And if you look at these weeks, they're actually quite similar to what you see above. In week 1, we're going to dive into the 2017 marketing results. There's going to be a little bit of prep work for you to do before each of these sessions, just to make sure you're staying on top of it. But in week 1, we're really going to dig into 2017 and also start to look at our 2018 goals. In week 2, I'm going to do some training and teaching on that what makes us different. I'll share examples with you. I'll give you guys more of a process to follow to really identify that and also who your ideal client is. And then the second part of week 2, we're going to start to get into the marketing tactics. I just went through and kind of did a little bit of a high level over 10 minutes, exactly what each of those are. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper in that. I'll show more examples and start to push you to say, okay, for your business, does this make sense? Is this a 2018 idea for you? Or is this doesn't make sense? Let's scratch it off, right? Week 3, we're going to come back and do marketing tactics kind of part 2. It's going to be over 2 weeks. And we're going to start to build out the actual marketing plan. Week 4, we're going to complete the strategy and tactics portion of your 2018 marketing plan. And then based on that, we'll have enough information to update and get a lot clearer with our 2018 marketing budget. I'll have a pretty slick tool that helps you kind of organize that and create that, just a nice spreadsheet that I've formatted for that. And then week 5, we're going to identify our SMART goals and the next steps. We're going to wrap up, have an open Q&A, and we're going to celebrate your personalized 2018 marketing plan and budget. So just a few more details on it. One of the things I'm going to do is for people that sign up, you will be assigned another person in the group that's going to be your accountability partner. And I'll introduce you via email, and then I will suggest that you check in with them weekly and each other weekly to ensure that you're kind of making progress on it. I would anticipate there's probably going to be 20, 30, 40 people in the group. And that's one of the ways that I want a little bit more accountability. All I care about in these 5 weeks is that there's a deliverable, that solid deliverable for each of you guys. I'll be giving guidance, coaching tools, motivation during each of the calls. And that's how that works. The cost/investment is $147. I'm sure if I calculate it, that's the cost of a cup of coffee every day for a month. Isn't that how some people do it? $147 to sign up for the class. All of the calls will be recorded in case you can't make all of them. And if you're interested in signing up, either send me a quick email, which is on there, kyle@remodelyourmarketing.com, or send me a text, 517-902-8450. And my assistant or myself will reach out and get you signed up. And if you looked, it's going to be a weekly call. So the first one is on January 11th, January 18th, 25th, 31st, and then our last class is going to be on February 7th. Okay.
Looks like a great structure, Kyle. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say any questions that popped through or comments from you.
Yeah, feel free to hit up the chat with any questions. We'll try to get as many answered as we can until Kyle has to go. But yeah, I always have a challenge. These things all sound great. Get on these webinars and get all excited about everything, especially this time of year. New Year coming up. But the challenge is just making time for this stuff. And we can say, hey, this course looks good, but I'll do it on my own. But chances are, I know myself, I probably won't. So just having the structure of these calls and of this course is probably very much worth it.
This is something so I've been at it for 10 years, and most of the way that I engage with remodelers is through one-on-one coaching. One-on-one coaching is expensive, right? It's expensive. And one of the things I did in the fall, I had a $297 course, and there was a lot of people that said, oh, I can, that's much more attainable. I can do that. This one, it's $147. Now, if I said at the end here, and guys, I'm going to do these 5 weeks and it's free, you guys would get really excited. And I also know that my participation of that would be very low because if you don't pay for it, you don't take it serious. So it's a little bit of investment, right? It's $150, $147, but you got a little skin in the game. If this makes sense to you and you're going, $147, drop in the bucket. If I can actually have a good, solid, well thought out marketing plan and budget that's going to line me up for the rest of the year. And the accountability factor, you know, that thought of having another person that's also going through this with you. Plus you have access, you know, you can shoot me an email when you have questions and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that the structure of this will allow the deliverable to happen. So cool. I saw a question on here. How do we get Google reviews? So she's talking in particular, when she types in her business name, she's having a challenge actually having her business show up. So that may be a little bit more of a challenge than if it was showing up. I want to share just one quick thought on this. I have a client that I've been working with the last few months, and he has 56 Google reviews. New record. I have not seen that. There's Brian Sebring in Chicago. I think he had like in the 40s. That was the previous record holder. This gentleman that I'm working with has 56. And I thought to myself, man, how do you get those Google reviews? I'm just dying to ask him, thinking he's going to say, well, you know, I talk about it throughout the process. At the end of the job, I really let them know how important it is to me. You know, I follow up. I don't just say it once, I say it twice, and then I ask him a third time to make sure it happens. I was expecting those answers. And here's what he told me. He said, Kyle, here's what I do. I make them very, very happy. Ooh, bam, right? How do we get more Google reviews? Give them a remarkable experience. Give them a process that they're just dying to leave you a review. That if you even just give them a hint and push them in the right direction and say, could you leave a Google review? That they're just thrilled to help you because they're so ecstatic about the project. What a great approach. Difficult, right? It's difficult to do that, but what a great, and frankly, that's the foundation of a business. That's a foundation of a marketing plan. If you're doing excellent work, if you're taking the time to make sure your clients are really, really happy, marketing and advertising gets easier because you generate more referrals, you generate more word of mouth, you generate more opportunities, more repeat work. So that's my answer to that question. Yeah, Joe, you got from the technical standpoint, make sure your business is registered, business.google.com. The BLB, I saw Nancy, my friend Nancy, stole the thunder on that, and she told you what the BLB stands for. BLB stands for breakfast, lunch, or beer. It's a fun little acronym to help you make sense of that. So if part of your marketing plan is to develop more strategic partners, if you say, I'm going to do 3 BLBs, you know, a month, you can go up to a possible strategic partner that maybe you met him at the Home Builder Association, maybe you talked to him months ago or years ago or whatnot, and you say, hey, do you want to have a BLB with me? What's a BLB? A breakfast, lunch, or beer? What do you prefer? It's kind of a fun way to remember to be asking people to meet in person. Any others that have popped in, Joe?
I'm just checking here. Where to register from Google reviews? It's at that link, catherinebusiness.google.com. I'm just looking up you're Googling your business. It doesn't look like you have that set up yet. So go there, it's free. Get yourself registered for that from a business perspective. And then you can have a business profile, and that's where people can leave reviews.
Perfect. All right, cool. It's 2 o'clock, Joe.
2 o'clock. Quitting time?
It's quitting time.
All right. Well, that was amazing, Kyle. I took lots of notes. I'm definitely gonna listen to the recording again. Thanks so much for laying all that out. Really practical stuff. And I say this all the time, working with construction companies and contractors, remodelers. No one's doing this stuff. You know, we have such a huge advantage if we're just looking at this stuff, taking time to participate in this webinar, taking the time to follow up, possibly invest in Kyle's course here. It seems super valuable. The best part is most of our competitors are not doing this stuff. They're not taking the time to work on their businesses. So big advantage right here. Take advantage of the opportunity. That's my #1 recommendation.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Joe.
Got a lot of thank yous. Kyle, deadline on the sign up for the course real quick?
Class starts on January 11th. At the same time, I'm going to have a little bit of prep work, a couple action steps that I want you to have before we start. So, I mean, I would say this afternoon's a great time to sign up for it, but any time that first week in January will do the trick.
Sounds great. All right. Thank you so much, Kyle. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care, everybody.